Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charlie, and excited for what I assume is going to be the best pitch I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, I have a question for you. I haven't done this in a very long time, but I have an opportunity to do this, so I will. I have two pitches for you today. Now, you will have to pick which pitch you want to hear, all right? The first pitch, I'm just going to give you the titles, and you got to pick from there. First pitch, The Wandering Punks. That's the title. And the second pitch, Avant en Garde. Avant en Garde. 3 exclamation points.
Avant en Garde are the Wandering Punks.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Avant en Garde, because that sounds like a medieval fighting, but like weird. There's going to be some weird twist, because Avant Garde, obviously.
Well, that's actually interesting that you picked it, because it is of the two shows, Avant en Garde is not medieval. But the Wandering Punks are medieval, right? So I'm just going to give you the little run-through of the pitch for Avant en Garde, and it is also the shorter of the two, so I was kind of secretly hoping you would pick this one. But a strange, surreal art house superhero show following the adventures of the Protectors of Strange, which is made up of Mother, Pathaholic, Flesh, and the Human Scab. Those are our 4 superheroes, and they are the members of this superhero team that just gets into very strange adventures, right? They're not saving the world. They're not even rescuing kittens out of trees. They're going to a factory that makes dentures, and they're fighting a monster that's made out of all of the discarded teeth of people who replaced them with dentures, stuff that's like that. I kind of wanted to make the grossest, weirdest superhero team that I could think of, right? Stuff like that. So the real meat of this show is in the characters. So I'm just gonna get right into them, right into these characters, because I think they're pretty fun. First character, the leader of the team, her name is Mother. That is her only name. A centuries-old warrior who is in a constant state of pregnancy, birth, and growth. Her powers relate to how pregnant she is at any given moment, and every 9 months, she gives birth to her new form that has new abilities. So, she's imagine, she's 7 feet tall, right? And she's pregnant 24/7. And she kind of gives birth to herself. She's not impregnated by someone. She just becomes pregnant. It's part of her life cycle, and it's kind of a phoenix from the ashes sort of a situation, but it happens once every 9 months, right? So she gives birth to herself, immediately dies, and then the baby grows into a fully grown adult woman in the span of probably about 10 minutes. But she has slightly different abilities. So maybe when we meet her, Mother can fly, and after she gives birth to herself for the first time, she can no longer fly, but she has super speed, right? Or she can control hair, or, fingernails. She's got, I want this to be a very strange superhero team, full of people who are doing weird things. I was kind of David Lynch inspired with this show,
Okay.
And I understand that you are not a woman, neither am I, right? And I understand that this character may be teetering on offensive. And I want it all to be known to everyone that is not my intention whatsoever. I wanted to have
the pregnant superhero?
Pregnant superhero all the time. I've talked to.
I don't know if it's offensive. It certainly is really weird.
It is really weird. Offensive. I've talked to some people, and they're like, yeah. And I said to them, and I'll say it again, I want this character to be powered. Her power is that she can become pregnant. That's her ability. Is that it's not her personality, right? She's strong. She's mean. She's kind of untrusting because she's centuries old. She's been doing this forever. And I was toying with the idea of making her Abel. You know? As in Cain and Abel.
Oh, I thought you meant like physically able.
Oh, no. I was, yeah. No, I'm making my superhero. She's can't do anything. No. As in the biblical Abel. So her brother, right, lied and said that A, she was a man, and B, he murdered him, whatever. But in actuality, they both were cursed to wander Earth, you know, together or apart. And so maybe Cain can become a villain in this show at some point, or maybe we could do it like a Christmas episode. And she goes to Christmas and Abe is there, or Cain is there, and she's kind of like, ugh, this guy's kind of a prick, you know, that sort of thing. Our second character, Pathaholic, right? Ray Herman Spector was a promising biochemist until he created a chemical cocktail titled The First Solution that enhanced his physical ability tenfold, but at the cost of his empathy. The solution is also incredibly addictive, turning a mild-mannered scientist into a sociopathic junkie with superpowers. So that's Pathaholic. And he's basically, he's an alcoholic, but for a drink that makes him a psychopath or a sociopath. So he has no empathy. He is unconcerned with how other people are doing, how other people feel. He only cares about himself and his well-being and making sure that he does well. Only when he's drinking the formula. But otherwise, when he's like normal Ray, he's like a nice, mild-mannered sort of Jimmy Olsen, Clark Kent style guy. You know, he's nice, he opens doors for people, you know, he's a kind of a nerd, he's a little bit of a fanboy, you know, that sort of thing. But when he drinks the serum, he becomes a totally different person who's, you know, he's got super strength and super speed, and he's got enhanced senses and stuff. Right? He's not as powerful as Mother, but he's kind of like one of the powerhouses of this team, right? I would hope so. There's only 4 of them, right? So that's our second character, Pathaholic. Our third character, their name is Flesh, an alien thing that has come to Earth in search of the universe's greatest secret, the reason all life ends. While on Earth, Flesh has discovered that they have shape-shifting abilities, but only if they have eaten the victim's flesh. Part-time hero and part-time grave robber, Flesh is also attempting to learn about war, a foreign concept to their species. So this creature, right, they have the ability to shapeshift, but only into other people, and only after they've eaten those people, right? They don't need to eat the whole thing, but they can't, like, eat a toenail and become the guy, right? They've got to, like, there has to be a substantive amount of eating in order for this person to, take the shape, right? So Flesh, in their free time, they're kind of like this horrible ghoul creature, right? Until they can shapeshift into whatever people they want to be. Because once they shapeshift into someone, they can always be that person. But Flesh is very concerned and curious about human culture, so they're always trying to gain more, more abilities, more skills, more shapes that they can turn into, right? And they're constantly walking around the city, right? I haven't named the city that they're guarding because it doesn't matter, because they barely guard it. But Flesh is constantly walking around the city wearing the faces of dead people. And every once in a while, they will run into someone who's like, who they're wearing their dad's face, right?
Oh.
Like, say my dad's dead, right? And then I'm walking down the street and I see my dad getting coffee. I go up and talk to them and they act totally different. Turns out that's Flesh, this weird, horrible creature that can, take shape of anything, but only after they've devoured the rotting corpses. And they can also eat living guys, but that's less, they're not as cool with that because they're kind of not big into violence, But I imagine without any sort of shape-shifting, they're this kind of like golem-esque, like, skinny, languishing creature that has no real discernible features besides, like, pale, sallow skin and, like, a bald head. And the proportions of them are not inhuman, but they fall into the uncanny valley, sort of, right? Like, imagine, if you've seen the first Hellboy movie, imagine the guy with the swords who's full of sand. Like, imagine something like that, but without all the scars. That's more for the audience than for Jake, because Jake's never seen a movie in his life before.
No, I have never seen a movie.
And our final superhero is in as big a quotation marks as you could fit it. Trevor Williams was born with the ability of internal reconstruction, which means that any injury he receives heals instantly on the inside, but he retains all of the physical effects of that injury. Nearly all of his skin is scar tissue, and he mainly acts as the team's mascot / distraction. So this internal healing factor is not really something, it's kind of hard to explain. Every, like, say Trevor gets stabbed in the chest, right? You take the knife out, his heart and everything below the skin level heals instantly, right? But the skin still has this big gash in it. There's no blood coming out of it, but there's this big gaping wound that just eventually, after months, like, kind of just stitches itself closed. Every inch of this guy is burned or cut or scabbed or scarred or bruised, right? He lives in constant pain, and he looks gross as fuck, right? That's kind of what I'm going with for here. The world's grossest superheroes. But I don't think Mother is that gross. Neither is Pathaholic, but the other two are pretty nasty. Yeah, the Protectors of Strange. Now that you've met our characters, what do you think of them? What do you think of the human Scab, and Flesh, and Pathaholic, and Mother?
I like very interesting.
Weird as fuck, man. That's what we were going for.
It's weird that Flesh is a good guy. Are these all good guys?
They're all attempting to be good guys, right? But I'm imagining this as sort of like, I know we do TV shows, but also sometimes you do, like, things that could be more closely related to web series, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about this. Like, this is like they're a superhero team in name only. They're really, like, they fight monsters and they save people, but they're not really good guys or bad guys. They're just kind of weird guys. And I would imagine...
It's the name of the show, Weird Guys.
Yeah.
I know it's not called that, but...
It should be. And each episode's like 11 minutes long, and some of the episodes are about the whole team doing something, and some of the episodes are about just one or maybe two of the characters doing something together, right? I've got some episode ideas, right?
Is their team name the title, or is it
no
something else?
The title of the team is the Protectors of Strange, which I think could also be the title of the show. I just enjoyed the wordplay of avant-garde. I wrote that.
I do like your title a lot. Your title is good.
Yeah.
Avant-garde.
Well, we could just take that title and use it for something else, because we could do, like, a very weird, surreal, like, Zorro-style sword fighting show, which is what I was.
It's up to you. It's your show.
You know what? We'll save avant-garde.
You can save it for later.
Yeah, save avant-garde.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Saving avant-garde, and we're calling this show the Protectors of Strange.
Protectors of Strange.
Protectors of Strange! Because they're very strange. And so right now, I'm just going to run through some of the episode ideas I have written down, right? Because I will be honest with you, I wrote this all last night. I was bored, so I was just hanging out, and then I got the idea, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep writing. And this is what came out. So, I have, at first, the team must do battle with an enormous creature made out of disregarded human flesh. And that's not to say human flesh that has been cut off. that is human flesh that has been disregarded. So every time you, like, a piece of dandruff, like, falls on your shoulder and you wipe it off, or you have a little, like, piece of skin hanging off on your fingernail and you pick it off and throw it away, or you clip out your fingernails, cut your hair, any of that, any stuff that you're purposefully getting rid of, right? It's all flushed down the toilet or in the drains, right? And that's how we'll start the episode, is with our main characters hanging out at the Hall of Strange, or whatever we'll call it, right? The Stranger's Hall. And they're just, like, chatting and having conversation, and we're trying to get to know the characters, and we'll follow the camera. We'll go slowly descend through the pipes and follow the, like, pipe works of the building that they're in into the sewers, and they'll follow the sewers and blah-blah-blue, and it'll go into this massive, like, cavern where we'll slowly see, like, hair and teeth and nails and all this stuff kind of forming together into this big mass. And slowly but surely, like, it grows hands and fingers and a face and legs and a chest, and it bursts out of the sewer onto the city, and it starts, like, destroying things. And at first, our main characters, right, they jump down and they start, like, fighting it, and they're punching it, and they're jumping in front of it, and they're trying to save people, and they're kind of failing a little bit. But, you know, eventually they realize that this massive creature isn't attacking indiscriminately. It's only attacking hair salons and mani-pedi places you go get your manicures done, and, like, dentist's office, right? Places where this flesh is disregarded from, right? And so using that information, they're able to go, right? They send Pathaholic or Flesh, or one of the two, off while the others are fighting the creature and trying to keep it at bay. They send somebody off, and they go and they collect all sorts of things, like all these chemicals from these places, are able to create this sort of, like, flamethrower-like device made of all of the, like, barbershop stuff and the spray you get at the dentist's office, stuff like that. And they're able to finally beat back the beast back into the sewer and destroy it. But, you know, the final sting of the episode will be, like, slowly but surely the hair is knitting itself back together again, you know, and the teeth are forming in, right? And that's the end of the episode.
Gross. Oh.
Yeah. Cliffhanger. Well, not even, because I have no intention of that creature ever coming back, but I do like the idea that there's just this massive creature living under the city, and it's made out of all your hair and your teeth, you know? And once it, like, reconstitutes itself enough, it will attack. Inevitably, it will come again.
What's the name of the creature again?
I didn't name it. It's just, like,
Okay, I got one for you. It's the Tooth Fairy.
I like that. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna call it the Tooth Fairy. I'm calling that the Tooth Fairy. Yeah. This is some great content. Writing in notebook content right here. Our second episode would have our heroes must stop a comet that is rocketing towards Earth, only to discover that it is actually a parallel Earth coming to them for help, right? This Earth has fallen off of its axis, and it's flying, it's hurtling towards our Earth, but it's actually a parallel universe Earth with, like, heroes and villains and people, right? And so our heroes arrive in, like, a rocket ship, you know. Maybe it's Flesh's rocket ship from their alien days, and they're trying to figure it out. Oh. And we can get, like, a fun, like, Our Evil Twins sort of situation where it's each character but opposite, you know? We can have, instead of mother, it's father. Instead of flesh, it's bone. Instead of the human scab, it's the, you know, the rubber ducky, right? Instead of pathaholic, it's friendly moderation. That one was
friendly moderation, everyone's favorite superhero. Yeah. There should be t-shirts.
Mm-hmm. And then and at first they fight, and then they decide that they have to work together, but finally Pathaholic, you know, he decides that there really is no saving this Earth, and so he presses a few buttons. In the headquarters of this superhero team, all of our characters get on the spaceship, fly away as the planet explodes right before it hits our Earth and, like, dissipates into dust. And Pathaholic is kind of like, whatever. Like, I just killed an entire planet full of people, and he's not fazed. And then he goes to sleep and wakes up, and Ray comes out, like the mild-mannered scientist, and he says, like, oh, I saw that we were on the news. Anything interesting happen? Like, did I do anything that I should know about? And all of the characters kind of look at each other. And the human Scab and Mother kind of nod and be like, no, it's fine. And then before they can really say anything, Flesh is like, oh, yeah, you committed genocide, destroyed an entire planet. You killed basically your brother and all of us, but not us. It's kind of parallel universe stuff. Whatever. I'll see ya. And then Flesh, like, jumps out the window and, like, opens their skin into like a flying squirrel style suit and flies away, completely naked, I might add. Flesh is always naked, unless they've shapeshifted. In their natural state, totally naked. Balls swinging,
Okay.
Our next episode is Mother. It's just about Mother. Mother must find a way to postpone her birth/rebirth cycle until after an award ceremony honoring the disabled puppies of the city. Right? So it's basically like her water breaks and she's just refuses, because she's been doing this for centuries. She is very old, and so she's like mastered the breathing exercises and everything, but she like just refuses to give birth to herself because she's like, it's gonna change things. I gotta be ready. I gotta be tip top. This is a very important ceremony, and it's disabled puppies. It's like, it's nice, but it's the most meaningless ceremony you've ever seen in your entire life. And inevitably, it doesn't work out, and Mother must give birth to herself on the stage that they're honoring the disabled puppies at. And then, she, grows into herself, and she's completely naked on the stage, and she says, what? You got a problem with me? Shove it up your ass. I am Mother. I am powerful. Fuck you. And then she flies away, because she, realizes that she doesn't need to, she doesn't need to pretend for these people. She doesn't need to, like, change herself or make sure that she doesn't change for these people. She's their protector. It's not the other way around. She's not doing anything, because they want it. She's doing it because they need it, right? Another episode idea I have that's a bit more of a comedy episode is Flesh, right? Very awkward character, goes on a date with a man, but is unable to recognize that the man that she is on a date with is a supervillain that maybe we tease in a different episode that is trying and failing to kill them. So it's kind of a comedy of errors situation in which, like, this supervillain, let's just say Dr. Arsenic, Arsenic Man, whatever the fuck, right, is, like, putting poison in their cup, and they're drinking it and they don't feel anything. They turn away and the person puts a knife in their chest, and Flesh just kind of doesn't notice because they're so alien to us that their anatomy, it doesn't work like that at all. Like, they barely notice injury unless it's really severe. And so they're like, oh, who put that there? And they take the knife and throw it away. And this serial killer or supervillain is just getting more and more and more aggravated until finally they're like, all right, I'm going to drop a fucking piano on him. I don't care anymore. And eventually they get the piano all lined up, and Flesh is like, oh, isn't that sweet? They're trying to serenade me with a beautiful piano ballad. Please, let it go. And the piano falls and, like, squishes into Flesh. And then Flesh kind of, like, is almost like fluid and just flows out from underneath of it, stands up and says, oh, thank you, that was beautiful, that was a really good date, but I just don't think that I'm ready for a relationship right now. And the supervillain, like, nods, just sad and dejected, and then pulls the piano back up, the broken piano back up, and then goes and stands under where it's going to be, and the cuts to black as we hear the piano crash down on top of them once again. Comedy. Our next episode idea that I have right here is Pathaholic goes to an AA meeting after a run-in with the law, right? They committed some crimes and so they had a run-in with the law, and the law says you have to go to AA, right? And so they go to the AA, but talking there. Pathaholic is obviously a sociopath, but they're very charismatic. And so they're able to convince everyone in the AA meeting to return to their addictive substances, and accidentally begins a riot in the center of the city that all of the other three heroes are kind of dealing with, as Pathaholic is just going on a bender with these other alcoholics. What is it? Oh, yeah. And we have to... Of course, every character is getting their own episode, so of course the human scab goes home to visit his family and gets into a rivalry with his much more handsome and successful sister, who maybe is also a superhero, but in a different city for a superhero team that's like actually well respected. Because this team's fucking crazy and weird and gross. No one goes over, no one teams up with these guys because you all smell weird, and Flesh tried to lick me last time I was there, stuff like that. And they're like, well, at least I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. They don't care that I have a horrible skin condition and my face is basically made out of just pus and blood. They accept me for who I am, and we kind of like get into like a sort of, the human scab is doing like kind of a found family sort of thing, and then our final scene is the human scab going back to base and seeing all the characters, and then all three of them just berating and just belittling the human scab in such a way that he's like, oh man, I haven't found a family. I just don't have family. I'm just lonely.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, where he like kind of likes her. He's like, oh, home.
No,
home
no happy endings for the human scab. That's kind of the point of his character, is it just sucks to exist for him. Yeah, and I have, the team finds, they go out into the wilderness and they find a town that is under a witch's curse, so that they all must, only communicate through song, and that's the musical episode where they're trying to find these witches and they're doing, like, different songs. Maybe each character has a different, like, genre of music that they sing. Maybe Mother, because she's so big and verbose, she like sings more operatic. Flesh is like weird and experimental, and it's just kind of like electronic noises and screaming. Pathaholic is like a kind of like a Frank Sinatra style like singer, the fedora and the hat and the cigarette and the martini, but the martini is the final or the first solution. And then what should the human scabs be? Human scabs should be like pop punk. I'm so sorry. That sort of thing. And that's they all have to communicate only through that, and each one of them hates the other three's style of music. And the townsfolk also communicate through song. And so you get the mayor is singing like show tunes, and then the preacher is singing like hymns, and then the like high schoolers are singing like punk music or metal music or whatever, Fun stuff like that.
Or they're all like the what's the music from Grease? Like they're all
musical.
Like the high schoolers are like that, or they're High School Musical. Maybe there's like rivaling high schools.
Yes, that could be fun if we have one rivaling high school that sings like an actual musical, and the other one sings like metal like screamo music. That would be fun.
Well, I was thinking like you have like a high school, so you've got like that kind of like sort of poppy music, and you've got like the Grease high school, and you've got a like a classic Broadway like gang high school.
Yeah, we have a Sweeney Todd stand-in character who's the barber, but they're so very obviously a murderer. And the last episode idea I have is kind of I think it would be kind of the peak of the top of this show, because it's kind of, it leans very much into the weirdness. And so our characters are transported into a German expressionist film universe where they have to battle madmen and creatures of the dark and vampires, Nosferatu-esque characters, and they must contend with the reality of God's silence and deep shit like that. But it's all these weird, silly characters, and so they're kind of not as interested as everyone else seems to be. right? But they that this is the episode where the protectors of Strange must wait for Godot, that sort of thing. Just weird, sad, dark stuff that none of these characters seem to take seriously at all. And that's the show that I have made for today. The Protectors of Strange.
I really liked it. That was a very fun, exciting show. The powers were certainly something I was not expecting.
Weird.
And the names.
Yeah.
Also, human scab is quite the decision.
The human scab.
I like it, but
yeah,
it's certainly weird.
It's 100% weird. Weird as fuck, bro.
Yeah, and you can do a lot with these, like with the stories, because you can basically just do whatever superhero story essentially with them. Do they have like a main villain? Is there like some sort of like reoccurring antagonist?
I did not come up with one, but there can be. I think if there is, it should be kind of like, it should be one character who is antithetical to all of them. Like one, because they're all weird, so maybe it should be like a Superman stand-in who has just the standard powers, and it was like, I was a boy, and I was bitten by a radioactive, weightlifter, and I gained, super strength and the ability to run really fast and stuff like that. And so just the most milquetoast, blandest superhero who wants to claim this city.
Oh, okay. His name's Strong Boy. Okay.
Yeah.
He, as a young lad, he was the Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But as he got older, he realized that you don't actually get paid to be a superhero,
Yeah.
and he had to make rent, and he ended up having to his life went really downhill because he couldn't afford to do anything, and they wouldn't let him like compete in like professional sports or anything like that because it was against the rules to be a superhero person there. So he's just broke, and he has to he ended up moving back in with his parents, and his life was just going really, really downhill.
Yeah.
And we need some sort of event that makes him be evil.
And then he got evicted, and then he saw that...
And he has to hate these people.
Maybe he saw that, a movie was being made about a character who is just basically him, and he sued, and the suit didn't go through because he's so bland that he couldn't copyright it. It's like when people try and copyright really basic words. And they're just like...
Yeah, so he's too bland to copyright it.
Yeah.
But he was, the first superhero or something, so that was, his... that's his old claim to fame.
Yeah.
But now no one cares about him, and he's like...
I'm gonna fight these new hot superheroes. Maybe he's like, I'm gonna fight the new...
I think they have to have some sort of advantage that he didn't have.
Yeah.
And so now, maybe... Do they get paid?
Maybe Pathaholic has worked out some payment plan with the city, because I don't think.
Okay, so they're government contracted.
Yes.
Like that's how they're making money, right? And he never got that. And he's annoyed about that, and he hates them. And he has this sort of boomer attitude about it. He's like, "You're not a hard-working superhero like I was, taking government money. Strong Boy doesn't like this." Maybe he talks in the third person as well.
Yes, he talks in the third person. That's great. I love it.
He's I want to say he's 55. He's played by not Russell Crowe. What's his name? The guy who was Superman. He's in Death Proof.
No, not Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell is who I was thinking.
I was thinking, who was Superman in Superman Returns? He was...
You thinking Brandon Routh?
Brandon Routh. Yes. I think that would be fun.
I don't know if he's old enough, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, he's old, but maybe in 10 years he could do it. Is there anyone else that play? I think he's the only... I mean, obviously there's Christopher Reeve, but he's not
He's as dead as they come. I'm at all Superman actors.
Because I feel like Brandon Routh is too young. He's 44.
Yeah.
He looks really good for his age.
What about
too.
Dean Cain?
As well.
He played Superman on TV. Or we can let's get Tim Daly. because Tim Daly is the voice actor for Superman in the the DC animated universe, like Justice League.
Oh, Tim Daly is great.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to shave his head for this role or something.
Yeah.
But I think he could do it.
I think he could do it too. So Tim Daly is our strong boy.
Strong boy, yes. Yeah, I think maybe he had a cartoon or something too, but he didn't get paid for that either. Tons of merchandising as well.
Exactly. Perfect. I'm glad that we got that out. I'm glad that this show turned out to take up a whole episode, because I wasn't super sure. I thought maybe it would be a short one. And it's not like an especially long one, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
I liked it. It was good, Charlie.
Thank you.
I think I'm. You know what I'm excited for though?
The Wandering Punk.
I'm excited for next week's 200 episode.
Ooh.
What is it going to be?
Who knows?
I mean, we know. Do we tease it? Are we allowed to say what it is?
No.
I don't know.
You're not allowed to say.
I mean, we make up the rules, so I don't know why I asked, but like.
No.
I guess, I don't know, something special maybe next week.
Who knows what it could be?
Because it's the big 200.
200. Do you, if we get to episode 700, can we do like a reverse James Bond show? Instead of 007, it's 700? 700, and it's
Damn,
like
if
the world's worst spy.
Okay, yeah, I'm for that. I won't remember it, so you'll have to remember it, but...
I think I'll remember that. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Goloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. Remember, we will be back here next week with a brand new televisual series for you to imagine and enjoy and listen to, because it's episode 200, and it's going to be sick. It's going to be cool, hopefully. Hopefully you like it. If you don't, I'll cry.